Listen to this case that happened in Washington, USA. A couple has a baby. The baby is born completely healthy, no issues at all. Later, they do some basic blood testing. The result shows that the baby's blood group is AB, but both parents have type A blood. Now, biologically, that doesn't make sense. If both parents are type A, the baby being AB is basically impossible. So naturally, the conclusion is these can't be the real parents. The parents are confused. They don't understand what's going on. So the father decides to do a cheek swab DNA test, a basic paternity test. The result? 0% match, meaning he is not the father. Now, if you want a sensational, dramatic story, people would immediately say the wife cheated. Simple. But that wasn't possible here. Why? Because this was a case of artificial insemination, an IVF-type procedure. The father's sperm was medically collected and placed into the mother's uterus in a fertility clinic. So there's no question of cheating. Everything was done properly under medical supervision. Still, the DNA result clearly says the child is not his. Imagine the situation of that man. His entire world is shaken. The baby was born from his wife, so she is definitely the mother. But if the DNA doesn't match him, then whose child is this? And if his sperm was used, then where is his actual child? Total chaos. He becomes convinced that the fertility clinic made a mistake. Maybe they mixed up the sperm samples. So he prepares to file a lawsuit, hires a lawyer, gets fully ready to take action. The lawyer suggests bringing in a scientist to investigate properly. So they consult a geneticist from Stanford University. Now comes the twist. When they do a more detailed DNA analysis, they find that the child shares 25% DNA with the father. Now normally, a child shares 50% DNA with the mother, 50% DNA with the father, 25% is what you'd expect with relatives like an uncle, grandparent, etc. So this result is basically saying the father is actually the child's uncle. Now this makes things even more confusing, because the man doesn't even have a brother. He's an only child. So what is going on? After even deeper analysis, the truth comes out. The father is an extremely rare case of a chimera. In chimerism, a person has two different sets of DNA inside their body. What likely happened is, during early development in the womb, there were originally two embryos. Think DNAA and DNAB. But one absorbed the other. So one person ended up carrying two genetic identities. Now here's the key. The DNA that produced the sperm was from the other genetic line, DNAB, while the rest of his body mostly reflects DNAA. So biologically speaking, the father of the child is actually the genetic equivalent of his twin that never fully developed. That's why the DNA match shows 25%, like an uncle. Meaning, in a strange way, the child's true father is someone who was never even born separately. The game of DNA is so surprising, so shocking. Nature never fails to amaze.